You know that feeling, that familiar knot twisting in your gut, the thoughts just buzzing relentlessly in your head.
Hmm.
The way everything just sort of seizes up when worry or fear rears its head.
Yeah.
Maybe you had a simple plan, something fun even, like arranging a trip, right? And suddenly you're not just dealing with logistics, you're completely overwhelmed by this like endless parade of what ifs.
Oh, yeah. What if the plane's delayed? What if I get lost?
What if I'm just not ready? That feeling of paralysis, like anxiety is suddenly gripping the steering wheel of your life.
Yeah.
It can feel like you're just, well, a helpless passenger.
It's incredibly relatable. I mean, it's fundamentally human. Anxiety and fear, they evolved as these really powerful survival
Right. To
tools.
keep us safe.
Exactly. They're designed to snap us to attention, alert us to threats, prime us to react from, the classic fight, flight, or freeze. The challenge comes when these really powerful, kind of primitive responses get triggered intensely or all the time in situations that aren't actually life-threatening.
And that's when it feels like they're making all your decisions for you.
Precisely. It starts to feel like they're in control.
And that's where it can really start to narrow your world, doesn't it? Shrink the possibilities.
Hmm.
So in this deep dive, we're not going to talk about some magic wand to erase fear entirely, because let's be honest, that's impossible, maybe not even desirable.
Right. We need some anxiety.
Exactly. Instead, we're going to explore how you can fundamentally shift your relationship with anxiety and fear, find a way to navigate through it, regain a sense of peace, and, crucially, live a life you choose, a life that expands rather than contracts under that pressure.
Yeah, get back in the driver's seat. And we've pulled together insights from, well, a whole range of places: psychology research, practical health techniques, even personal stories people have shared.
Okay, let's dive in. Where do we start?
Well, one of the first crucial points that comes up again and again is this. While anxiety might kick off with some perceived threat, a huge part of the struggle often comes not just from having the anxious thoughts or feelings themselves, but from how we react to them.
How we react. You mean like taking them totally literally?
Yeah.
If my mind throws up the thought you're going to mess this up,
Well,
I buy it instantly.
exactly. We treat it as absolute fact, capital T truth, like you said. And then what's our natural impulse when something feels bad?
Get rid of it, control it, suppress it, make it stop.
Right. Who wants to feel that awful knot in their stomach? So we try to control, suppress, or just flat out get rid of those uncomfortable internal things, the thoughts, the feelings, the physical sensations.
It makes perfect sense on the surface.
It does. And that urge to get rid of it often leads straight to avoidance behaviors. Think about your trip example, or maybe someone terrified of having a panic attack in a crowded store.
Okay,
What might they do? They might just stop going to crowded stores altogether.
makes sense. Avoid the trigger.
And initially, that avoidance works, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Huge relief. You feel safe again. Phew.
For a moment, yes. Big sigh of relief. But what happens over time? That temporary relief, it comes at a cost. It strongly reinforces the idea that the thing you avoided, the crowd, the social event, the challenge, is genuinely dangerous and must be avoided. It stops you from ever learning that you can actually experience those feelings, that they're temporary, and that you can handle them, even if they're really uncomfortable.
Ah, so you never disprove the fear.
Exactly. And this pattern of avoidance, it just slowly, kind of sneakily narrows your life. It fences you off from opportunities, from experiences, things you might actually want to do.
And it sounds like that can spiral pretty quickly into being anxious about being anxious.
Precisely. That's the meta-anxiety. You start fearing the feeling itself, which is, well, it's a fight you just cannot win. It creates this vicious cycle where you're stuck battling your own internal world instead of living your life.
Like trying to hold beach ball underwater.
That's a great analogy. It takes all your energy and it just keeps popping back up anyway. Exhausting.
Okay, so if wrestling with the monster, trying to control it, doesn't work long term, where do we even begin when that anxiety wave hits, in the moment when it feels overwhelming?
Yeah.
What are some practical, immediate things you can actually do?
That's a critical starting point
Yeah.
because you need tools for the moment. There are some really powerful immediate techniques that connect the mind and body to help manage those intense spikes. And probably the most effective tool you have is always, always with you.
Let me guess.
Breath.
Your breath. Yep.
It feels almost too simple sometimes, Just breathe.
It might feel simple, but the science behind it is pretty solid. Research highlights specific techniques like cyclic sighing.
Cyclic sighing.
Yeah. Studies have shown that just 5 minutes a day of practicing this pattern, it involves Deeper inhales and longer, slower exhales can significantly reduce overall anxiety levels and actually boost mood. Think of it as actively calming your nervous system through a physical action. So, cyclic sighing, like a big inhale through the nose, maybe another little sip of air, and then a really long, slow exhale through the mouth, something like that.
That's the general idea, yeah. And even beyond that specific method, just consciously slowing down your breathing, focusing on deep, even breaths, it's foundational. It helps manage general anxiety, and it's a go-to for coping when panic feels like it's taking over.
It interrupts that shallow, fast breathing that kind of fuels panic.
Exactly. It sends a signal to your brain that you're okay.
Okay, breath is number one. What else can ground us when things feel shaky?
Get your body moving. Seriously, even when you feel frozen by anxiety, just shifting your physical state, stand up, walk around the room, take a brisk walk outside, even do some quick jumping jacks, it helps discharge some of that pent-up nervous energy.
Just change your physical state.
Yeah. And as a regular habit, consistent exercise is incredibly beneficial. We know it helps with sleep, reduces muscle tension, which is huge with anxiety, and has well-documented mood benefits. It's not a magic bullet, but it really changes the physical landscape in your body.
So, tune into the body. Breath, movement. What else?
Intentional relaxation techniques. Things like progressive muscle relaxation.
Where you tense and release muscles.
Exactly. You systematically tense, then release different muscle groups. It helps you become aware of where you're holding physical tension, often unconsciously, and then learn to consciously let it go. It actively counters that physical bracing that anxiety causes.
And grounding. I hear that word a lot, especially for panic attacks.
Absolutely vital, especially during intense anxiety or panic. The whole point of grounding is to pull your focus out of those swirling, anxious thoughts and back into the physical reality of the present moment, which is almost always safer than the scary future your mind is painting.
How does that work in practice?
Well, one common way is to focus intently on a specific object around you. Really look at it. Notice its shape, color, texture, little details you wouldn't normally see.
Like, really study a pen on your desk.
Yeah, or a pattern on the floor. Another powerful way is engaging all your senses, like the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. What are 5 things you can see right now? 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste.
Okay. Forces you into the here and now.
It anchors you firmly in the reality of this moment, which is usually much less threatening than the catastrophe your anxious mind is spinning up.
Focusing outward to quiet the storm inside for a bit.
Exactly. And similarly, listening to music can help, especially instrumental or wordless music. It gives your attention something else to focus on, away from that loop of worry.
And we shouldn't forget the basics, right?
Yeah.
Just simple physical health stuff.
Critically important. Your baseline anxiety level is hugely influenced by lifestyle. Are you getting enough sleep? That's massive.
Yeah.
Are you maybe overdoing it on caffeine or sugar? Those are stimulants. They can definitely make anxiety worse for some people. Just paying attention to those fundamental building blocks of health can make a huge difference, even before you get to the psychological techniques.
So these are great in-the-moment tools. Kind of like first aid for an anxiety spike. But like you said earlier, the real shift isn't just managing the feeling when it hits hard. It's changing how we relate to that ongoing stream of thoughts and feelings day to day. How do we tackle that?
Right. This is where we move into fundamentally shifting your relationship with your inner world. And a cornerstone practice here, one you hear about a lot, is mindfulness.
Mindfulness, just being present, but without judging.
That's the core idea. It's intentionally paying attention to your present experience, what's happening right now. Your thoughts, feelings, body sensations, the world around you, but with an attitude of open curiosity, non-judgment.
Why is that so powerful for anxiety?
Because it creates this crucial space, a pause between a trigger, maybe an anxious thought or a situation, and your typical reaction. It helps you notice what's happening inside you without automatically getting swept away by it.
So the anxious thought still pops up. This is going to be terrible. But instead of instantly believing it and reacting with fear, I can just kind of see it, like watching a cloud go by.
Exactly. You notice, there's that thought again, rather than, oh my God, I am that thought, it's true. It gives you that pause, that moment, to choose how you want to respond, instead of just reacting on autopilot, driven by fear.
How do you practice that? Meditation.
Formal practice helps, like sitting meditation, focusing on your breath or body sensations, or doing a body scan, or even mindful walking. But you can also practice informally, just bringing that same open, non-judgmental attention to everyday things, washing dishes, drinking your coffee, feeling your feet on the floor.
Okay. Mindfulness. And alongside that, you mentioned acceptance. This one still feels tricky. Why would I want to accept feeling anxious? Because it's like giving up or like saying it's okay.
Yeah, this is often the concept that trips people up the most,
Yeah.
but it's incredibly powerful when you get it. Acceptance, in this context, is absolutely not about liking anxiety or wanting it or approving of it. Nobody likes feeling anxious. It's about willingly adopting an open, receptive, and flexible attitude towards whatever is showing up inside you in the moment.
Huh.
The whole package, thoughts, feelings, sensations, the pleasant and the unpleasant.
Making space for them,
Mhm.
even the uncomfortable ones.
Precisely. It's acknowledging they're present without feeling like you have to fight them or push them away or get rid of them immediately. Remember that avoidance trap we talked about?
Yeah, trying to cut out the bad parts.
Right. But often, the things you deeply value in life, the things that make life meaningful, are tangled up with the possibility of discomfort. Acceptance is about making room for that discomfort so that you can still move towards what matters to you.
Okay, so the idea is, all right, anxiety is here. It feels awful. I'm going to feel it
Yeah.
while I go do this thing that's actually important to me.
That's exactly it. You learn through experience that you can feel the discomfort and still function. You can practice this by just noticing your physical sensations, thoughts, and feelings as they arise. Bring that same gentle curiosity you'd use in mindfulness, rather than immediately labeling them as bad or dangerous or must escape.
And then there's diffusion. That sounds like it's specifically about the thoughts themselves.
It is. Diffusion is all about changing your relationship with your thoughts. It's learning to look at your thoughts rather than looking from your thoughts.
What's the difference?
Well, when we're fused with a thought like, I'm a failure, we're so tangled up in it that we look out at the world through that thought. We take it as literal reality. Diffusion helps you step back and see thoughts for what they actually are, just words, pictures, maybe sounds, just mental events passing through your awareness.
So they lose some of their power.
Exactly. It weakens their power to bully you or dictate what you do.
How do you actually do that? It sounds a bit abstract.
It takes practice, but there are some really simple practical techniques. A classic one is just adding a little phrase to the beginning of a difficult thought. So instead of thinking, I'm a complete failure, you consciously notice, I'm having the thought that I'm a complete failure.
Creates a little distance.
Right. Or, my mind is telling me I'm a complete failure. That little phrase creates space. Other techniques might involve visualizing the thought written on a cloud floating by, or imagining saying it in a silly cartoon voice. The point isn't to argue with the thought, but to change the context, to see it as just mental noise, not absolute truth.
That makes sense. It takes away the thought's power to define you or the situation.
Precisely. And once you've created that space, through mindfulness and diffusion, you can also choose to actively challenge some of those negative thoughts, especially the really persistent, unhelpful ones. This is about engaging with the content of the thought and questioning its validity or usefulness.
Like putting the thought on trial. Playing detective with your own worries.
Kind of. You gather evidence. Ask yourself, okay, what concrete evidence do I actually have to support this thought? What evidence is there against it? Is this thought truly a fact, or is it an opinion, a feeling, an interpretation?
What would I tell a friend if they said this to me?
That's a great one. What would I tell a friend? Am I jumping to conclusions? Am I confusing possibilities something could happen with the certainty it will happen? Is this situation really a catastrophe, a total horror? Or is it actually more like a difficult, uncomfortable, but manageable hassle?
Those questions kind of force you to step back and look at the thought more rationally, not just through that lens of fear.
They do. They help you evaluate the thought's accuracy and maybe even more importantly, its usefulness. Like, does dwelling on this particular thought actually help me move towards a better outcome? Or does it just keep me stuck and feeling awful?
So, okay, we've talked about managing the intensity in the moment, using those grounding techniques, and then changing how we relate to the stream of thoughts and feelings with mindfulness, acceptance, diffusion, maybe challenging thoughts. But eventually, the goal isn't just to feel less bad, right? It's about living a full, meaningful life. How do we use these skills to actually move forward?
This is where the focus really shifts. It shifts decisively from just managing discomfort to actively building a life guided by what truly matters to you. And the key concept here is values.
Values. Like a personal compass guiding you.
Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
perfect way to put it. Values are like directions on a compass, north, south, east, west, that guide your actions continuously. They describe how you want to behave, the kind of person you want to be on an ongoing
But
basis.
they're different from goals.
Yeah, goals are destinations you can reach and check off, like get that promotion or run a marathon. A value is more like being a dedicated professional or living healthily or being a loving partner. You never finish being loving. It's a way you choose to act, moment by moment, day by day.
And acting on those values, I'm guessing that often means bumping up against discomfort again.
Very much so, almost inevitably. If you value, say, authentic connection with others, you'll have to be willing to risk rejection or feel social awkwardness sometimes. If you value learning new things, you'll have to push through the fear of not knowing or making mistakes. Living your values often requires that willingness to feel the fear or the anxiety or the doubt that might show up, but still choosing to move in that value direction anyway.
So knowing your values is crucial.
It is. Doing exercises to clarify them, maybe thinking about what you admire in others, or reflecting on times you felt really alive and engaged, or what you'd want people to say about you at your retirement party that helps you figure out your compass points.
Okay, so once you know your direction, your values,
Mhm.
you need to actually take steps, right? Not just think about it.
Exactly. That's what we call committed action. It means taking concrete, purposeful steps that are aligned with your chosen values, even when anxiety or fear is showing up. And it helps to make these actions specific. Smart goals are often useful here. Specific, motivated by your values, adaptive, realistic, and timely.
Can you give a quick example of that?
Sure. Let's say you identify a value of caring for my physical health. A goal is maybe too big, like get perfectly fit. But a committed action, a smart goal, might be I will go for a 20-minute walk outside during my lunch break on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday this week.
Okay, specific.
Right. And as you head out the door on Monday, your mind might scream, I'm too tired, or it looks like rain, or people will see me. And you might feel that familiar anxiety or lethargy.
Uh-huh.
Committed action is noticing all that internal noise, maybe using some acceptance or diffusion skills, and choosing to take the walk anyway, because it's aligned with your value of health.
That sounds a lot like facing the fear directly sometimes. Is that part of it too?
It is, and it connects directly to the concept of exposure, which is really important. Exposure means intentionally, purposefully approaching situations, thoughts, feelings, or memories that trigger anxiety, but doing it in a way that's planned and safe, and this is crucial, without using your usual avoidance tactics or safety behaviors.
Like crutches that make you feel better short term but keep the fear alive.
Exactly, like always needing to have your phone, or only going places with a safe person, or mentally rehearsing everything they'll say.
And the goal of this exposure isn't necessarily to feel less anxious right then and there.
This is a really key distinction, especially compared to some older ideas about exposure. In this framework, the primary goal is not to make the anxiety disappear in the moment.
Yeah.
It's actually to build your tolerance for the discomfort and to broaden your ability to function and act in line with your values, even when the anxiety is present.
So you learn you can handle it.
You learn you can handle it. You learn the feeling, however intense, does eventually peak and recede. You learn the catastrophic outcome your mind predicts usually doesn't happen. Or if something difficult does happen, you learn you can cope with that too.
So an example might be someone with social anxiety deliberately going to a small party, maybe setting a goal to just stay for 30 minutes and practicing not hiding in the corner or constantly checking their phone.
Exactly. Or someone with a fear of contamination touching a doorknob and resisting the urge to immediately wash their hands. It's about doing the thing your anxious mind screams is dangerous, without resorting to those safety behaviors and learning from the experience. Over time, this gradually weakens the power of the fear and expands what you feel capable of doing.
Wow. So this whole process, finding immediate calm with breathing or grounding, changing your relationship with thoughts and feelings through mindfulness and acceptance, figuring out your values, taking action toward them, even facing fears directly.
Mm.
Sounds like you're building something really fundamental, like a skill.
You absolutely are. You're building mental strength. And that's not about being some kind of stoic robot or being fearless. It's about developing the capacity to function effectively, to keep moving forward in meaningful ways, even when you're facing internal challenges like anxiety or external difficulties. It's very closely related to resilience.
It's not about never feeling doubt or fear.
Not at all. It's about how you respond when those feelings inevitably show up.
So like a muscle you strengthen over time with practice, the more you do it, the stronger it gets.
Absolutely. Every time you notice an anxious thought and don't get totally swept away by it, every time you choose acceptance instead of fighting a difficult feeling, every time you take even a small step towards a valued action despite feeling anxious, you are actively building that mental muscle. This whole journey we've been talking about is the path to greater mental strength and resilience.
And it sounds like, thankfully, this isn't something you necessarily have to figure out entirely on your own.
Oh, critically important point. No, you don't. And you probably shouldn't try to. Building a strong support system is essential, and that absolutely includes knowing the value of professional help.
Therapists, counselors.
Yeah, people trained in approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, or other evidence-based methods. They can provide invaluable tools, help you see patterns you might miss, challenge unhelpful ways of thinking, and provide guidance and accountability as you practice these new skills. Coaches can also be really helpful, especially with the values and action parts.
And knowing when to reach out is key, right? If the anxiety or panic is happening a lot, if it's really getting in the way of your daily life, your job, your relationships, or if the techniques you're trying on your own just aren't making enough of a difference, that's a really clear signal that it's time to seek professional support. Don't forget about employee assistance programs, EAPs, if your workplace offers one. They could be a great starting point.
Definitely. And beyond the professionals, don't underestimate your personal network. Nurturing strong relationships with friends, family, people you trust that provides essential social support, connection, joy. It acts as a buffer against stress. Sometimes just talking things through with someone who cares makes a world of difference.
What about other personal habits? We mentioned exercise and sleep. Anything else?
Journaling can be a fantastic tool. Just getting thoughts and feelings out of your head and onto paper can help you process them, gain perspective, maybe track your progress or notice patterns. It externalizes the worries. Also, being really mindful of how you consume information, especially news and social media. If you find yourself constantly overwhelmed or anxious after scrolling, maybe experiment with setting limits or taking breaks. Find a balance that works for you.
Yeah, learning your triggers, but maybe not necessarily avoiding all of them.
Yes, exactly. Understanding what situations, thoughts, or even physical sensations tend to kick off your anxiety is useful information. But like we talked about with exposure and values, the goal isn't automatically to avoid everything that makes you anxious. It's more about using that information wisely. Some triggers might signal, okay, maybe I need to pause and use some grounding skills right now. Others might just be signals that, here's that familiar feeling, time to practice acceptance and keep moving towards what matters.
That makes sense. And one last thing from our sources that mentioned that even learning how to support someone else who's having a panic attack or struggling with anxiety can be surprisingly empowering for your own journey.
It absolutely can. It shifts your focus outward from feeling maybe helpless or overwhelmed by your own anxiety to feeling capable and helpful in the face of someone else's distress. It reinforces your own skills too.
Right. So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. Bringing it all together, it sounds like finding peace, managing anxiety, living a life not controlled by fear. It isn't about achieving some mythical state of perfect calm or somehow eliminating fear altogether.
Definitely not.
It's more about understanding that trap of trying to control our inner world using those immediate mind-body tools like breathing and grounding when things get intense, and then fundamentally shifting our relationship with our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
Using mindfulness, acceptance, diffusion, maybe challenging thoughts when needed,
Right. Making space for the discomfort.
then clarifying what truly matters to you, your values,
Yeah.
your compass, and choosing to take action, committed action in that direction, even when fear shows up and wants to come along for the ride.
Yeah, letting fear be a passenger, not the driver.
And realizing this whole thing is a process, right? It's
Yeah.
gradually building that mental strength, that resilience, often with the support of others, professionals, friends, family.
It really is about choosing to expand your life. Learning to move towards discomfort when it's in the service of your values, rather than letting anxiety shrink your world through constant avoidance.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As you go about your day, perhaps think about this. If anxiety is like a passenger on the bus of your life, maybe a really loud, kind of fearful passenger who keeps shouting directions from the back seat,
Yeah.
what might it feel like to just acknowledge the passenger is there, maybe nod to it, let it sit where it is, while you, as the driver, keep your hands firmly on the wheel and continue steering that bus confidently in the direction you choose to go?